welcome to Unfiltered
I
with
do my
Roxy.
head talk, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling?
Hey, friends. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about the time I quit my big girl job and what I learned from it. A lot of times when we are in positions that seem like it's the best thing ever, ends up being not so best thing ever. So we're going to dive right into it because this is something that is going to affect your whole life. Where you work, how you work, what you feel at work, what you're doing at work is impactful to your soul and your spirit. And one of the things that I learned a few years ago, maybe about five, this was around before COVID, is that if you're not prioritizing your health and your family and your loved ones, you're not going to enjoy your life and you are going to be miserable. No matter how much money you make, no matter where your job is, it could be the best looking building ever. If you're not happy with how you're getting treated and with what you're doing, you're not going to enjoy your life. And that is bad for your mental health. So let's get into it. This is a safe, non judgmental zone. So if you're thinking about quitting a job, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to tell you what I learned in my path, and hopefully it can help you make the best decision for you. If you ever stayed somewhere that looked good on paper, but not in real life, this is definitely for you. And I think you're going to learn a lot. Let's go. I worked a few years ago and almost most of my job life in a non-profit space, which usually means that there are limited resources. You're always chasing the next grant and the next opportunity for community partnerships and philanthropy and all that good stuff. From when I was even younger, I remember always being in that kind of space. I started out my career with helping young people get jobs. I was always being scrappy. I was always having to make sure that I was driving kids around, getting them to where they wanted to be. And these kids would just drop off and then I wouldn't get my numbers. After that, worked for a couple of wellness places, and those really were my favorite times because I love health and wellness. I love being in that space. So when I transitioned to the mental health space, I thought it was a great transition because you can look good on the outside, but if the inside is messed up, you're still going to have a lot of work to do. So after I transitioned, I was working for a nonprofit that allowed me to be a health advocate for the community of Baltimore that was really less cared for with resources. And I really loved that job. But one of the things with that were the long hours. Now, you would think at a nonprofit, that's not a thing, but it totally is a thing because there's not enough workers. There are a lot of events. There are a lot of community outreaches. So it was a lot of hours, not a lot of pay. I didn't have benefits. I didn't have health benefits. I didn't have, any kind of insurance, like health insurance, life insurance. I did have days off. I would have that kind of coverage for my husband for our insurance, our health insurance, and even the life insurance. Wasn't like a lot of money, wasn't a lot of benefits, no savings from it. And even one of them messed up my taxes. So I still have to pay taxes on the little bit of money that I had that I thought was a little bit. Well, it's even a lot less now, a few years later that I'm having to pay taxes on it. So it just was a stressful environment. I finally saw the light of that when my mom died. And even though it wasn't the workplace's fault that my mom died, but it was very taxing on my spirit that I couldn't help my mom. I could not take off when I needed to, even when my kids were all graduating, that was something that was kind of contentious because it's like there's no one to do the work if you're not there. And even though I did take off, I felt a lot of pressure because I didn't have coworkers who could pick up the slack. It was just us in a small team, and I had people that really didn't know how to do what I did. One of the things when my mom was ill, and we changed leaderships in between the time that I was at the job, is that you know, you think you can take off, but there's always that thing of having to catch up. And I remember specifically one time, um, when my mom had lost her sight, she had brain cancer and had just finished radiation. Well, the radiation caused her to be blind. And kind of quickly, she kind of was losing her sight, but not telling us. So one day she had called me terrified, and I, of course, stopped what I was doing at work and I went to go be with her. And as I was telling my executive director she was fine, she said I could take the time I needed. But 2 days had went by, and I guess she felt like she had to make sure that things in the office were getting done. So she told me pretty curtly, abruptly, that I had to decide what I was doing so that she can make provisions we were going to have to do an office move and all this stuff. And basically, if I wasn't coming back, to let her know, which I never said I wasn't coming back. I just said my mom had lost her sight and it was known that she was sick. So the crazy thing was that my son was in the car witness to that, and his mouth dropped because I was on my way to take him to school. And he was like, "Mom, are you okay?" And I was like, "What?" When you're going through things like that, you actually get normalized to being treated badly. And I definitely was like, "What?" It wasn't okay. But, we do what we have to do to provide for our family. And I went back to work, and my daughters quite gallantly helped me take my mom to doctor's appointments and helped her with her transition. And I had a younger sister that was there, but it took all of us um, to make sure she was okay. So at the end of that, I did feel very bitter about work because I wasn't getting paid enough for the crap that I was doing. And then to go through that, my mom had passed away, and I went back to work right away because I was asked to, and it it just was a lot. Anyways, so my transition time of realizing that that was not for me was about 3 years. I still didn't quit right away. I had a different executive director, which helped me, I think, last as long as I did, but I still had coworkers who were not carrying any of the weight that I was carrying. So it was a lot to me. It was very toxic to my spirit because I'm always trying to help people and move the mission forward. So that was very disheartening to me. But my executive director definitely was a mentor for me. She encouraged me. I went back to school. I started my own business. So it definitely was a season of God refining me in that space. So where this transitions is there still is a lot with nonprofits, like the boards, like the leadership, like your coworkers. And it was all very taxing. I literally was so glad when I turned in my resignation. And even though I was really sad, like I wasn't offered any more money or anything like that, it ended up just being fine because I knew I was done with it. Because when someone asks you, do you, how much more money do you want? And your first thought is, it's not enough money in the world. It's probably time to just move on. It's nothing else there. And I left from that job not at the end of the year. and not having another job to go into. So just imagine I didn't have like a blanket. I pretty much was just on faith that I knew it wasn't time for me to be there. Just literally a feeling in my heart that I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And so I had applied to a couple jobs, had one or two that were really promising. I cried my eyes out for one of them. And I don't know, I cried so hard, my husband ran downstairs to see if I was okay. So I really took it hard. And I think the whole process of applying for jobs is so taxing on your spirit. It just makes you feel like you're not good enough for anything. And what I will say to that as a 48-year-old woman is don't just apply for all these jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed. Pick what is interesting to you that you would want to do, research the market of where you would want to go and go from there because doing that is just for the birds. A lot of times things took so long. You go through this interview process, you do the test, you do all this, and then for them to be like, oh, no, just kidding, you're not good enough. It was a lot. So that's what I will say about that. And even I had applied for a state job and got it and was just or no, I didn't know if I got it. I was actually in a waiting period for about a month, had another job opportunity, a different nonprofit. This one would be doing similar executive assistant work, which should have been easy for me. I mean, I was doing so many other things at my first nonprofit that it should have been a cakewalk. And actually, it probably was if it wasn't for the season of my life of what I wanted and then how I was being treated by the leadership, the executive director. So, one of the things that I will say is the state takes way too long to hire. I ended up going with the other nonprofit and I really was excited. I got the money I wanted. It was going to be 9 to 5 or so, I thought. And the people seemed nice. It was for a mission that I really wanted. I was really excited about it. And when I started, the first week was okay, but I did start seeing red flags right away. The red flags being that you see the one person in the office that's always moody and is snapping at people, and that's okay, the asking of starting early and leaving late with no kind of accounting for that time. Just all of those things. Just hearing little nasty negative comments, not directed towards you, but towards other people. Those are red flags. Because if someone's talking about other people in the workplace, they're going to talk about you as well. So when I got through the weeks and I just noticed a lot of these red flags, I had a doctor's appointment. Ended up being that I had a health scare. I had a mammogram. The mammogram got flagged to get another mammogram because I had dense breast tissue. They had to do another mammogram. So if you have that, don't worry. They just need to check and do another more I guess it's more invasive kind of mammogram. The technology is the same, but I guess it's the way they're taking the pictures. And after that, I had to get a biopsy. That was not fun. And wait for the biopsy to come back. Less fun, right? And I had to take off for that, which was a problem, but it was told to me that's fine. When I had to do my biopsy, I didn't realize it would hurt. And it hurt. And not only did it hurt, it really affected my mental health. So after I had, got that news that the biopsy would take a couple days to come back, I was kind of out of it. And I don't even know if I knew how out of it I was until I had stepped back and reflected. But just think when you are ill or your family member is ill, you want to be free to take that time off. Not to say it's carte blanche, but I think you should be able to take off work without, one, feeling the toxicity of why does this person get to take off and who's going to do their work and all of that. Really, when you're fighting for your life and your mental health is fighting for your life, you should be able to do that with peace, take your time, and be able to heal. Because not only was the biopsy, like I said, painful, I had to get the little glue and all of that to keep the incision together. It was hard on my mental health. And one of the things that I knew when I heard in the peripherals about me having to take off of work to get the biopsy, like take off time because it was painful for me. That was like a joke. That's not okay. And then just the callousness of the fact that, your coworkers are just like, "Oh yeah, you took off yesterday." And it's like, "No, I actually had a doctor's appointment." "Oh, you had a doctor's appointment." That kind of thing. I think that's not needed in the workplace. If you're lying, good luck for you. I don't know, but I think it's a better way that we need to treat our human beings that are working with us, our coworkers that are working with us, that we spend so much time with. Um, and I think that a lot of that is people aren't happy with themselves. And not to say everyone was like that, but if the leadership is like that and they're modeling that, that's going to go all the way down. So that's something else to think about. If you're in a workspace where the leadership is very harsh and very toxic, the other coworkers are going to be like that too, because that's what's acceptable there. I literally remember when I was the toxic person at the workplace and picked up on something that was regularly done, which is to like criticize the work of someone else. And I cringe at myself thinking like that. And I had to go back and apologize to that person. Like, I'm sorry. I think because this person was doing that, I thought it was okay, but I know better than to think that's okay. And even my mom, when she was alive, she would just be like, you don't owe anyone anything. You owe your good works to the Lord. So just thinking about how you want to show up in the workplace and how you want others to show up for you. Just basic common respect, honoring each other's humanity, which is you're going to have to take bathroom breaks. Got to drink your water throughout the day. You have to go for walks sometimes. All of those things that make our lives better, makes our self-care better. I spent a lot of years trying not to drink water so I don't go to the bathroom, so I don't have to take time. And it's like, that's silly. All that to say, when I was at this toxic workplace and I was almost at my end, I remember being outside on the phone with my friend Susan, and I was telling her all these aggressive things that were being done to me, but like in a mean girls kind of way. And she said, life is too short for that shit. You need to get out of there. Can your husband like foot the bill for you for a little bit? And we both laughed, but it's true, right? What else can you do to get the hell out of there? Your mental health, your life is worth more than you staying at a workplace that is not a good fit for you. And it could be something that you've been doing all your life. If it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. My other conversation that I had, I would tell my husband, but I honestly was so ashamed that it went so bad so quickly that I was telling him, and he would just be like, every morning, I'm just praying for you. And I think if he wasn't praying for me, I probably wouldn't have made it that long. I even was praying every day before I went in there. Um, and the day before I quit, I remember talking to Susan. I remember talking to my son, and he was just like, well, when are you going to quit? Or no, he didn't say when you're going to quit. He said, yeah, so you're going to quit, right? And I said, no, Tony, like you don't quit. Like I need to go ahead and just prove that I can do this. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And just so you know, if someone is looking at you with harsh, critical eyes, you will keep messing up. Your spirit man is reading that, and you will keep doing that thing because it's in your head now. And your mind, your spirit man, is gonna flush that out. So I just told him, and he was so wise. He was like, okay, you really don't have to prove anything to this lady. Didn't you say grandma always says you don't have anything to prove to anyone? That's what you always tell me. And I'd be like, oh, that's kind of different. But it wasn't. He was so wise. And um that day, the executive director had let us out early because it was sunny outside, but really it was a setup. I guess she didn't want me in the office when she was doing or saying whatever witchcraft she was doing. And when I got home, I got an email about what have you been doing all week. So I wrote her an email. I didn't put in the email that the one of the older ladies that couldn't get down on the floor, I was helping her clean because that was one of her tasks, but she was an old curmudgeon lady. I was just trying to help her. Even though that lady was evil to me, I tried my best to show up and be light. And so I wrote in the email that, you know, whatever it was that I was working on, which I can't even remember, and it doesn't matter, right? It just was something that she wanted to do, which is fine. It wasn't good enough for her. So she had told me, or she had the curmudgeon old lady write me an email saying that she would be in charge of me now and I was to report to her. And I was like, ugh. I saw it in the morning. It came the night before, but I saw it in the morning. And I remember I had called my friend and she had prayed for me. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to finish out this week. I sat in that car and I just remember just praying. I just was closing my eyes. I was just praying, y'all, pleading the blood of Jesus. Lord, help me to be strong. Help me. I know I can do this. I couldn't go inside and I had to quit. It was week 4. I didn't even make it to week 5. Week 4, I quit. I went in there and I was like, about to sit down. I think I kept saying, you're gonna work once you get there. And I went upstairs and I couldn't do it. I packed up all my stuff. I packed up everything. I'm sure I left some stuff because I remember now, like I had some binders and stuff, but packed up everything, got the heck up out of there fast. And all I can say about that is the weight had been lifted because I knew I was not going to fit whatever mold it was. And even though I could hear the enemy laughing at me, basically saying, like, you thought you were good enough to do this and you weren't, which I am. I do that now for 3 organizations, basically 4, 3 to 4 organizations at a time. So, and I even do more than I'm supposed to do most of the time. So it's just like, I don't know why I was holding on to that um idea of myself. But that's when I quit my big girl job, y'all. And I felt shame that I could not perform at the level I knew I could. But then I also didn't care that I couldn't. I went to the bar after that. I sat at our house for like the whole day and I just put applications out and I connected with people that are in my network, but I didn't feel bad about it. Like, yes, it was a hard road for me because even now that I think about it, the God really had kept me because I already had like a couple of little part-time clients. I had found a part-time job working at American Postal Workers Union, which was a good experience overall. It just was far for me driving, but and we had a bridge that collapsed, so it was a whole thing to get there. And it's not even a whole thing to get there, but because of the bridge collapse, it was. And I had other little contracts that really kept me so I didn't have to um worry about it. And I think sometimes we think that we have to get this money, we have to get this bag to be happy. But that is not true. What we need, especially when you get older, is flexibility. You need your comfort, right? I don't want to be in an office that's dirty. I don't want to be in an office where people are gossiping. I don't want to be in an office where people are harsh and toxic to each other. Um, yeah, I don't need that kind of workspace. And I can work extra hours, but that's not what I expect to do all the time every day in my career. I'm at the point now where my husband and I we have a beach house. We like to go there to fix it up and chill out in it, but I needed the flexibility to do that. And when he was sick, that was one of the great things about working with one of the ladies, the executive director I was working with. She was such a great mentor. She was like, "You don't have to come into work if your husband's not feeling well, that's fine." And I was able to stay with him in the hospital. So I think those things are what gives you peace and joy in your life. And that's something that's not replaceable with money. I don't think now that I think back on it, what would I have spent that extra money for? Yes, some things to pay off things and to be comfortable, but you would be seeing me with 20 TJ Maxx things now, or, getting my Kate Spade bags that I like. And yes, those things are great, but it does not feed my soul. What feeds my soul is working towards a good mission and working towards good people. Like, I can genuinely say right now that all the people that I work with are real people. They don't treat people like crap. They are brilliant. They're Black excellence. And those things mean a lot to me because I have Black children that I want them to see that. I want them to see classy, powerful women, men that are doing what they're supposed to do, living honorably and doing a good mission and making money. So all that to say, now that I'm in my 48-ish, 48-ish, going to my 50s, that's what's important to me. Having peace, having my mental health, having joy, and being part on my destiny, right? So I even know that I'm going to circle back to health and wellness because it's my passion. It's something I've always done. And as long as it aligns and I can do it, I'm gonna totally go all in to do it. So, all that to say, if you're deciding now whether to quit or not, count the cost. Because do you want to cut back? Do you want to be in certain places? Or do you want to stay where you are and not grow? Because you're going to grow when you quit. You're going to find new skills. You're going to better equip yourself to be more nimble for other changes. The environment's changing anyway. People are getting fired. So, all that to say, it's definitely worth it to jump ship. If you've already aligned all the things to do it and you have your little part times and stuff, do it because it's not worth your mental health. And what are people going to say? Most people are unhappy because they're not willing to do that bold thing. They're not willing to walk out on faith. But if you just need a little bit of faith, you just need to know that over there, something is a little bit better. Over there is more freedom. Over there is peace and joy and happiness. Over there are the events that I could possibly do for more money and less time. So I hope that this is an encouragement to you to do what is best for you. And if you love your job and you just need to put boundaries, do that. If you are the one that is going through something different, go get your blood levels checked out. Like, I was so tired and irritable that one of my coworkers at APWU was like, "Oh, when I was going through this, I had low this and blah blah." And she was right. All I had to do was go get some blood work done and I was in perimenopause and we talked about that. So just be in spaces where people are willing to help you and lift you up and not condemn you. So I hope this was a help to you. I enjoyed sharing with you. Please like and subscribe so that you can help my mission of getting everyone on their health and wellness journey, being mindful and practical and looking at yourself through rose colored glasses because you were just doing the best you can. I love you. Bye.